Good morning. This is Camille Harris, owner of Camille Marie Coaching. Today we are going to be talking about what topics do I cover in the preschool school age parenting program. I've been getting asked that question a lot, so I thought I would talk about that this morning. So it is a 17-week program. When I do the parenting classes, we meet once a week for an hour. And I offer them in person in the home, and then I also offer them remotely. I'm actually starting my first remote class here pretty soon. So in the first couple weeks, we focus on play-based learning. So how do we teach your kids the things that we want to teach them in just everyday interactions? And we really focus on just like 5 minutes a day, focusing on how can you be intentional about setting aside 5 minutes a day to start working on the things you want your child to learn. So it's not just sitting down doing dolls and trucks on the floor. When I talk about play-based learning, I also mean, when you're doing the dishes and you're teaching them how to do that with them, or you're folding the laundry and they're sitting there doing that with you, or laying in bed with them and having that good night talk time. We also focused on using descriptive commenting, academic coaching when you're doing that play-based learning. And so how to use those things to increase vocabulary in children and how to help them learn just naturally while you're playing with them. And these are things that most parents already do. I'm just giving parents, highlighting the importance of it and really how much children can learn by being intentional about doing those things in your interactions with them. We also focus on persistence coaching. So when your child is trying to do a new skill or doing something that tends to be challenging for them, using persistence coaching to help reduce their frustration, encourage them to continue, and that really can help. Just that simple shift that I teach parents can help reduce some challenging behaviors that come from children when they do get frustrated, because with learning how to implement that persistence coaching, it validates the child and just encourages them to continue something that's hard for them in a really positive way. We also focus a lot on social and emotional skills, social and emotional coaching. So this is a huge one for parents to learn. So by learning to effectively label your feelings, your partner's feelings, other people's feelings, your child's feelings, we are in effect helping reduce that yelling, the tantrums, the fighting, the screaming, all those really big emotions that come from kids simply because they're overwhelmed with the feelings they have and they don't know how to manage them appropriately. So by giving parents some really simple tools about how to do that emotion coaching effectively, then helping reduce those negative behaviors that come with those big emotions that children get, that all children get, and they just need to learn how to manage them appropriately. We also talk about temperament and how, so we do actually like a little quiz where the parent identifies what their temperament is and then what their child's temperament is, and we spend some time comparing them and figuring out how does that impact the parent and child dynamics. And that's really highlights for a lot of parents, like, oh, that makes sense why they're this way and I'm that way. We also, and then the social coaching, the social skills, just, again, this is some of those behaviors that children do that you might struggle with, just giving parents some really concrete tools and strategies for how to get children to do more of what they want them to do in social settings. We focus on mealtime manners. We focus on just those kind of out in public things, please, thank you, excuse me, waiting to talk. Those are some basic things, but can be really challenging for some children to just integrate in everyday settings. And so I help parents really get some good strategies for how to do that. We also use, I teach parents how to use praise to get children to do more of what they want them to do. And I teach parents how to do this systematically. So focusing on one behavior at a time, that we're going to be intentional about using praise to guide the behavior, to reduce the behavior you want to see less of, and then increase more of what you do want to see them doing. We also spend some time working on using a reward system. So using spontaneous rewards, and then also using a reward chart or different reward systems. I give a lot of different tools for how to use rewards. And again, that is to reduce the behaviors that you don't want to see and increase more of the behaviors that you do want to see. We also talk about how to use effective limit setting and effective commands. So I've done a video before here about how to use effective commands. This is a really crucial one, a really simple but crucial step for getting children to do what we ask them to do, the way that we're phrasing it, the way that we're asking them to do something, the way that we're communicating with them. And then the limit setting is just how to set some really clear, concise limits. Oftentimes parents feel like they have the limits are clear to them, but just rephrasing it a little bit can make a huge shift for getting children to follow through. So, and then we also talk about some discipline strategies. And remember, discipline means to teach. Discipline is not a negative thing, it's a very positive thing. So some discipline strategies with using routines, daily routines, the importance of that to get children to follow directions, and using effective limit setting, and how to use the ignore strategy. So if a child is doing something that you don't want them to do, but it's not harming themselves or others, how do you use ignore to get them to stop doing that behavior you don't want them to do? So that's a strategy I teach, and we go through how to use timeouts effectively. And we teach in this parenting program that how timeouts are a positive thing. They're a time to give a child or a parent. We also talk about giving the parent a timeout to calm down, to regroup, and so it can become a really positive thing to have in the home. We also will go over natural and logical consequences and when that's appropriate to use and how to use it effectively, again, to guide children towards behaviors that you want them to be doing. And then lastly, we talk about problem solving. So this is something that is so important for children to learn, how to use strategic, effective problem solving. This is a lifelong skill they're going to need, and it is something that we can teach our children. So we focus on all those different topics, and really it's all of them together that guides the behaviors, that brings forward the behaviors that you really want to see. And so at the end of this program, parents often feel like there's more zen in the home, things that are calmer in the home. Oftentimes they feel like that parent-child dynamic, there's less struggles, there's less conflict, less yelling, less fighting, less frustration and from the parents. A lot of times I hear, I just used to be so angry because I didn't know what to do. And after they implement these different strategies and tools over the course of the 17 weeks we work together, parents often report that they just feel like things are a lot calmer and they feel calmer. And yeah, so again, this is a 17-week class. I do it in-home or do it remotely. I'm going to be starting a group remote class soon. I'll have up on my website probably in about a week where parents can sign up for that. You can sign up for individual remote coaching at any point, but I'll be launching the remote group coaching. So there's also the toddler series and baby series, and I'll be doing separate videos on what those topics are. But if you have any questions about any of those topics, please let me know. And yeah, also in this program, the way I teach it is we do every week, like I said, we meet for an hour, and I also provide every parent with a book that you can read, and you also get weekly worksheets that are interactive that we'll go over together and talks about the developmental milestones, and it's really just some way to implement what it is that you're learning. And we also what was the other thing I was going to mention? Oh, during the time we work together, we will be watching, like every hour when we meet, we watch videos that are examples of the strategies that I'm teaching. So you get to see other parents practicing it so that you can get an idea of exactly what I'm talking about. And then we just do a lot of discussion. So really trying to hit all the different learning styles, the reading, the writing, the audio, the visual. And so typically between all of those different learning styles, parents get a really good grasp and understanding of the different concepts that we're talking about. So Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.